Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Glory Reds podcast. It's your boy, Don Benito. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. Ladies and gentlemen, Manchester United versus Bournemouth today. Now, what I want to talk about today is the response that Ruben Amorim gave with regards to Paul Scholes and all the nonsense that ex-player was saying. And I have to say this, wow. Ruben Amorim just impresses me day by day. I don't know. Maybe I like the human side of him. I don't know. But I like his honesty. I appreciate how he tries to deliver the message. And I don't know if maybe sometimes because he's our gaffer, it could look like we are biased and that we're only believing him because he's our own manager or whatever. But honestly, when he speaks, I hear him, I get him, and I understand him. And he has responded to that Paul Scholes drumming that Paul Scholes had, that scathing attack that Paul Scholes had on him. And can I tell you something? Ruben Amorim is a gentleman. He is somebody that understands what he is doing. And oh wow, no, his response was very, very good. So they were asking the journalists, and this was from the embargoed version. The journalists asked him, Ruben, what do you have to say, the comments about and he was like, look, and it's not exactly what I said, but it's like, look, these are coming from people that have achieved. These are coming from people that played in the best Manchester United side that we all know. So it is very understandable. And for him, because he's not winning games, it's completely understandable that these guys can go in on him. But he says, if I was to win games, that's the only issue here. The currency that he has with the fans and even, I guess, with the ex-players is winning. If he wins games, I'm sorry, we're not going to hear nonsense from Paul Scholes, Nicky Butt. We're not going to hear any of that bullshit from them. We're not. But because we are having this up and down turbulent season, it almost feels like, his free game. But he explained himself very well. He was like, look, I have to win games. And the moment I win games, that is when perhaps I think people will cool off and people are going to give him that grace or that time for him to actually do what he needs to do. And I was very impressed by that because I thought he was going to say something like, look, must be nice. Because if I was Ruben, I would have been like, it must be nice, Paul Scholes. It must be nice to sit on your high horse there, just sitting there doing nothing and just talking without understanding the context of what is happening at the club. He was asked about the African players. And one of the things that we also noticed about the African players that Manchester United have decided to keep it a secret on whether these guys are going to be here or not. They do not want to disclose whether these guys have already gone for the AFCON so that we don't give the opposition ammunition. Because if they know that Ahmad is not going to be there, Brian Mbeumo is not going to be there, Nus Mazraoui is not going to be there, then they are able to structure their gameplay according to us, according to what we're going to do, or just try to plan something like that. But the gaffer has got something cooking. He's got something brewing, which is why the status of the African players is unknown. We do not know if these guys have left or if they're still here. Even myself, that's why my starting lineup did not have any of the African players. I did not want to and the funny thing is they could be there. They could play this game tonight. They could. But we are not sure about that, and I think that is a very good thing. If anything, today, if they are here, if they're going to play against Bournemouth, this is going to be their last game. Because those guys definitely need to start heading to their respective camps to go and represent their countries. He was asked about changing defenders, like the defensive setups. And he was like, look, most of the time it's tactical. But like the other time he mentioned Aiden. He said, look, Aiden, he was feeling something, so he called us. Delo is not a defender. He's not a center back. He's a defender, but he's not a center back. So we already know that situation there. Harry Maguire had moments. If he's feeling something on a knock, he will alert them and say, hey, even Delict, even Aiden. So he was like, it's all about trying to preserve these players, trying to understand what they are, because they are an important part of the puzzle. They are the ones that start most of the plays for us. They are always in the midst of the chaos and everything that's going on. So he tries to manage the team better and try to give these guys minutes. And honestly, I know some people might find this wrong because, changing defenders like up until 70 minutes, it could give the opponents an advantage, in the sense that, look, they're like, they're bringing in new center backs. Let's run at them. We have to create a scenario where the center back that's coming in is super fresh and is not going to take bullshit from anybody. And I think so far he has managed that situation well. I remember 2 years or 3 years ago, where Erik ten Hag's second season was a disaster. And it was a disaster because of the injury crisis that we have, the defensive crisis that we had. We had how many defensive pairings? 20 plus throughout that season. It was unstable. You could not have stability because of that. However, Ruben Amorim has found a way, and I think everybody can agree that whatever he's doing right now with our defenders, dropping Yoro, putting him in, Aiden, Moose, Mazraoui, swapping and changing, I think that is a good thing. I think he's managed it well, because it gives those players enough time to understand how they're going to work, and they know, if this guy is injured, I'm playing. If that guy is injured, he's going to play. If I come out, this guy's going to replace me. So I think there's a nice system going on there with Manchester United. Then he was asked about Kobbie Mainoo again. And Ruben Amorim gave one of the best answers that I could have ever pictured. Like he was asked, do you rate Kobbie? And he was like, of course, I rate him. But I prefer Bruno and Casemiro. Now, people are going to take that as like, what do you mean? He was like, look, he said, one of the biggest examples that I want to give is Casemiro. Because Casemiro was a player that was behind Toby Collier. Toby Collier has gone to West Brom and he's not playing. And this guy was a player, he gave this nice it's not even an analogy, but he tried to make people understand that, look, you can be playing in this team, you can be doing this thing, but sometimes things just change. He talked about Harry Amas. He talked about Chido Obi. He's like, Chido Obi was starting for us, was playing for Manchester United last season. But right now, sometimes he's not even getting into the under-21 first team. He spoke of Casemiro. He talked about Collier. He was like, Collier was a starter at Manchester, but then he went on loan to West Brom and he's chowing bench. So you need to understand context. It's not like it's a dig at Kobbie Mainoo, that Kobbie Mainoo is like this. No, it's just the coach trying to pick the best team possible. And I know you guys are tired of hearing me talking about this Kobbie situation. I know, but the gaffer keeps on trying to explain himself that, look, it's not even about that. And then he even said something that was very, very interesting. He said, Kobbie Mainoo has not complained. Kobbie Mainoo has not complained whatsoever about his game time, about any of that. And he said, look, I've not had that conversation with Kobbie, but I would love it if he'd come to me and ask me and tell me, like, say, Gaffer, let's talk about this. He has not had that conversation. I mean, he has had conversations with Kobbie, but not the ones that we think they're having. It was like, look, he has not come to me complaining about any game time, which now which now makes me think to myself, what are all these stories that we're hearing about Kobbie Mainoo seeking to leave Manchester, blah, blah, blah? Because if he really was, then I think he would have approached the gaffer and said, Gaffer, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the gaffer will be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we saw, but none of that has happened. Kobbie Mainoo continues to work hard, continues to put his head down and just work hard. He was asked about how is Kobbie Mainoo the replacement for Bruno. He even doubled down on Bruno, saying, you guys say Bruno is a number 10, but he's a midfield. You know what? This gaffer, salute, man. Salute. I really want him to win something. I really want him to shut critics. I really, really do. But in a nutshell, he was basically saying, look, I don't have a problem with Kobbie Mainoo. He actually rates Kobbie Mainoo. Unfortunately, he has to make a decision at the end of the day. He mentioned that you saw against Everton. Now, some of you are going to be like, oh, but that was a tough game. Nah, nah, nah. But he brought in Kobbie Mainoo in that game to help in the trying to unlock. You see, that's the thing with people. They don't try to understand the characteristics of players. Kobbie Mainoo, I told you, personally, you guys can tell me, please, I would like to hear this. I would really, really appreciate your opinion on what you guys really think about Kobbie. Do you think he's a 6, an 8, or a 10? Because I am inclined to think that Kobbie Mainoo is in and around that 10 position. Now, he mentioned that in that Everton game, he brought him in because they were trying to find solutions to unlock. Kobbie Mainoo is that guy. He is that is that key that if you put him in a very congested, in a low block, Kobbie Mainoo can maneuver. Kobbie Mainoo with Bruno in a low block, they are a problem. They can cause all sorts of issues for you, provided that, I don't want to say provided that the circumstances are right, but I guess, but they are the type of players that when you put them in a situation where it is tough, Kobbie Mainoo can find the solution. Now, in that central midfield position where there's a lot of tracking back and having to stop plays and what, he defended himself and said, look, the best example that I can give is Casemiro. Casemiro was behind Toby Collier. And I think that is a significant thing. And I think people shouldn't downplay that statement, because at the end of the day, I remember that time we were wondering why Casemiro? Why he's trying bench? Some of you were happy because you're like, let's get rid. Some of us were wondering why. And Casemiro has never been benched since. Now, are you guys going to say that Casemiro is a bad player? Because Casemiro continues to show us every game that, man, he belongs at Manchester United. 5-time Champions League winner is playing for us like his life depends on it. And here we are always complaining. Honestly, that Kobbie Mainoo being compared to Bruno, or the gaffer saying that Kobbie is competing with Bruno, is the biggest compliment that Kobbie Mainoo can ever receive. And I know some of you will not believe it, but believe it. Because Bruno Fernandes is quality. Bruno Fernandes, you know what? When we lose Bruno, we'll remember him. You know, our president, our ex-president, the late Magufuli, he was like, Mtani Kumbuka, you will remember me. And that is exactly how I feel when it comes to Bruno Fernandes. When Bruno Fernandes leaves Manchester United, we are going to feel it. We are going to realize, so the Magnifico was the man. He really was the guy. He was the linchpin. He was the driving force to everything. So now the people, why doesn't can Kobbie Mainoo get in Casemiro's position? Yes, but he needs to adjust himself. He needs to those characters. He even mentioned that the last game, I think against was it West Ham or whatever, he decided to put Ugarte in Casemiro's position because he thought it was just going to be long balls. So he says it's all about the situation. It's all about what's going on. But you see right now, with the AFCON at our doorsteps right now. Brian Mbuemo is gone, will leave. Amad Diallo will leave. Nus Mazraoui will leave. There is an opening for Kobbie. There is. Now, I don't know if... I don't want to say because Cunha is there, Mason Mount is there, Xerxes is there, Seshko is coming back. He's doing everything in the power to get back to full fitness. So Kobbie Mainoo will get some time. I think Kobbie Mainoo will get the minutes that he deserves. And I think when he does, people are going to be like, wow, yeah, let him cook. Let him cook. Let him do everything that he needs to do to cement his position. Now, it will be up to Kobbie Mainoo to make sure that once he gets that opportunity, he impresses, because there's no time to not perform. I don't know if that makes any sense. There's no time. The gaffer mentioned last season, all these players, they played. I gave everybody a chance, every single person. But then after that, he started to figure out. And we as fans, the thing that makes me sick sometimes about us is that last season, when the gaffer arrived, we said, look, he has to go through his trial and error. He needs to figure out his starting lineup. We never had a starting lineup. We never had a starting 11 last season, building up until this season. We never had that. When Ruben came in, it was a lot of chopping and changing. And we said, look, this is the opportunity for the gaffer to just pick his team. Like he's figuring it out. He's figuring it out. Once he now has his core, then that's when we're going to start having like these cameos. And then he does. Now, people do not want to believe certain games were the fate of certain players. They don't want to believe it. But it is what it is. It really is what it is. But his response to Paul Scholes, that made me realize that this guy's a true gentleman. As long as he's not winning, he's always going to get pelters from these guys. For as long as these players do not show up, he's always going to get that criticism. My question is, and I even said it in one of the groups, I'm like, I get sick and tired of the fans who don't go in on the players. Players missing sitters, players making some very bizarre, stupid decisions in the final third, and you're just asking yourself, hey, did Ruben tell you to do that? No. But they're doing it. They miss an opportunity, they miss a chance, and then who gets the blame? The gaffer. I have left that boat. That thing of defending players when they're the ones who are causing us the heartache. No more. No more. I am siding with the gaffer. Even if, let's say, Ruben gets sacked and we bring another gaffer, I will support that gaffer. Nah, I'm done with the players. I am done. Like, I love them, but no, they need to take accountability. They do. And right now, we're in a position where the gaffer has created this environment for the club, for the players. They should understand that everybody's in an equal plane, because that's what the gaffer keeps saying. I've got no favorites. I mean, we do know his favorite is Mason Mount, but yeah, it's clear. Another thing that I wanted to mention, he talked about Antoine Semenyo and Bournemouth. He said, look, top club, top player, and there have been so many rumors about Antoine Semenyo. The only thing I can say is let's watch the space on that one, because the way Ruben Amorim speaks about Semenyo, it's almost like Mason Mount. Really. And that says a lot, because he loves Mason Mount. He does. When Ruben has a way of expressing how he loves certain players. And this player, Antoine Semenyo, I think Ruben Amorim loves him. And we spoke about it. We said, look, apparently he had dinner with Antoine Semenyo. What was that all about? Huh? Why would you, newly appointed Manchester United manager, you go and have a sit down with Antoine Semenyo on your first season? Like, he didn't even hit 6 months. I think it was his first month, second month. I don't know the specifics, but it was within the 6 months that he had arrived. Went to have dinner with Antoine Semenyo. Guys, I'm not saying I'm a prophet and I'm not heard anything, but like, we'll see. We'll see. And I think you guys also, you rate Semenyo. Now imagine Semenyo in our ranks. Oh my days. Oh my days. Let's back the gaffer. Let's support him, because at the end of the day, we always say this. The results will dictate if he stays or not. And he is trying to strive. But then the noise from outside is really making it difficult for him. Not that he is exempt. No, he's not exempt from criticism. He's not. But sometimes I feel like we also need to go in on these players. Because this season, I'm sorry, I've not seen a lot of criticism go to the players. I've not. And that is shocking. Because they have put in some shocking performances. They have. And the number one person that gets blamed for those shocking performances, it's Ruben. I can never understand this logic. Do you think Ruben sits there picking a starting lineup saying like, nah, I want these guys to go and lose so that I can get the criticism and get sacked? Does he think that he's picking a team to go out there and just walk around and just be lethargic and complacent? No. His job is on the line. So it has to be down to the players. Accountability. Now that's the thing that I have a problem with the fans, because we do not blame the players. We want them to be living in this bubble and on this cloud that everything is okay. It is the manager who's picking the team. That's always the excuse. It's the gaffer. He's putting really. So that was Ruben Amorim from the embargoed version. Thank you everybody for listening to the Glory Reds podcast. It's your boy Don Benito. Please don't forget to smash that ding and that ding and that. Peace.